The Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Welcome to the first Wycombe Wanderers Show of 2024.
Happy New Year, everybody.
A very happy New Year. Or if we didn't say that last week because it was last year. But yes, if you missed last week's, we had a very showbiz prize draw. Do get your QBC quarters ball draw for next month. I wonder who'll be doing it.
I don't know, it could be anybody.
Someone showbiz.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a letdown last week just you doing it, but it could be anybody.
Nobody else is available, clearly, between Christmas and New Year. On the way, we'll chat to Phil in a few moments' time. Luke's with us, as you may have guessed. Possible notice board section to come as well. Some interesting notices.
Yes.
Yeah, see. Phil will preview the game which is coming up this Saturday, the trip to Burton Albion, hoping for back-to-back victories. Yes, the first win in 13 League One games came on New Year's Day. Great way to kick off the new year. And, of course, with the announcement of Richard Kone being introduced to the fans by Rob in a hat on the pitch on that day as well. So, all in all, going rather well so far. Unbeaten in 2024. That's not bad, is it? Yes. Keep that going if at all possible. Coming up a little later on, we'll hear from the manager who spoke to us earlier on from the training ground in the press session as well. Also coming up, we'll catch up with the vice chairman of the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association. JDT will tell us about their plans for 2024, what you can expect at Adams Park from the ex-players, and also some of their functions and events which are coming up in the next 12 months as well, and possibly a bit of a taster of some of the ex-players that we'll be chatting to on this very programme as well. The sound effects on the show are exemplary. No expense has been spent at all, as you can probably realise. Also, we'll catch up with Carl Simon, who's the Wycombe Wanderers Women manager. If you've been following their progress, you'll know they've been on a bit of a mid-season, that's better, break, which their season resumes this coming Sunday away at Oxford City. They've had a couple of Christmas parties, as it turns out. And they've been, as I say, preparing for the second half of the campaign. There are a few games in hand on some of the teams in the division as well because of the weather. Some of their games have been called off, so they've got some catching up to do. So well placed in the pursuit of hopefully promotion. Because as if you've been following on this show, there's been quite a season of transition last season, and the rebuilding process is going very well, so making great progress. But first, let's hear from Phil, wish him a very happy new year, and bring us the latest on that great way to kickstart 2024.
Yeah, lovely to start with a win, and also lovely to get a win after waiting for 12 games without one. And I think the fan base and the players, the management, the staff, everybody was unified at our full-time whistle when it finally came on Monday to get the 3 points on the board. A big milestone for the club, and hopefully a building block from which we can go on a much better run.
Because I know we've spoken before about the fans' reaction on social media, and you've spoken very well about how they're perfectly entitled to express their opinion. But especially after the Leyton Orient game, it seemed so kind of, it just didn't feel like there was that sort of support there really.
I think it was the Friday night was interesting because it's a Friday night over Christmas. It's a local game in London. It was great to see our fans before and during the game, having probably enjoyed a light ale or two in the afternoon in the build up to the game and enjoying each other's company, having great noise in the away end. It sounded fantastic during the game, and then it turned on the final whistle. It was a tough game in terms of attacking chances for both sides, and it was a 0-0 draw. In isolation, a 0-0 away from home in a busy festive period, clean sheet and a point, you take it, especially if you win your next home game. But obviously within the context of the run, then yeah. And I think a lot of the frustration from the fans came from seeing a defender come on at 0-0 and Sam Vokes staying put on the bench. And then, of course, after the Bristol Rovers game, we learned that there were lots of red flags against him from the medical staff against Sam Vokes. And Matt Bloomfield wanted to play the longer game and sort of get him fresh for Monday. And boy, did we see the results of that. So I think it just shows, fans, of course, in the heat of the moment, frustration, fully entitled to do so. But stand back and take in the bigger picture a few days later, then it kind of made sense. And Vokesy, I thought, was excellent on Monday. And if that was the result of not playing on the Friday night, then I think it was probably worth it.
And you're seeing firsthand as well the effort that the manager and the players are putting in as well. And he spoke to you after the game at Leyton Orient, saying that he was going back to the training ground that night to prepare for the Bristol Rovers.
Yeah, look, I don't think I've seen anybody work sort of harder than Matt Bloomfield in any walk of life, even before I worked in radio or even at a football club, in any form of anything I've worked at in however long I've been working in various different jobs. This guy really grafts, and he really cares, and he feels the pressure like anybody else, and it is the most brittle of industries. It's been lovely, I think, that Rob's been over and has been incredibly supportive. Obviously he feels the results like everybody else does, and no one feels them more keener than Matt Bloomfield. To have Rob here and, as a member of the support for the gaffer, I think has been excellent. And, he spoke on Wanderers TV and Ringing the Blues this week about how that's been there throughout. He's not like the sort of chairman who's sort of an arm's length, sort of, watching and thinking, well, OK, what do we do here? It's more of a case of, they speak regularly. What can we all do to improve things and change things for the better? And I think it's that sort of support that a young manager like Matt Bloomfield will really benefit from. And hopefully Monday is the start of that.
It was a great chat, wasn't it, that you had with Rob, and it also, I think, really sort of allayed fans in their sort of fears, if that's the right, if not too strong, because he was saying, he believes in the process and what Matt's doing, and wants to stick to this path. Yeah, and with Rob, and I can say this is somebody who works for Rob as well. He's exactly like you see on the camera. He's if he tells you what he thinks. Especially if something isn't to his liking. But it isn't left at that. It's about, what about this? Or how about this? It's constructive, which is fantastic. As an employee, that's what you want. And I guess that's his line of communication with the gaffer as well. But he also has a sense of responsibility too, because these are the people that he employs. So he wants them to do well too. And that's part of the job, isn't it, I guess? And it's a tough old business sometimes. And, I think Matt, as Rob said, having 11 or 12 players at any one point that are available to you is going to be hard, especially in your first full season as a manager. And, these things come to test everybody. And we all hope that he's a much better and stronger manager as every week goes on, as every manager in the Football League is. They're always learning. Everybody is, whatever they do. I'm hopeful that, with the turn of the year, with the win under our belt, we can start to string the results together. And he talked about staying on the path. Also, the road was mentioned as well, which fans will find interesting as well.
Yeah, again, the road is something that he's consistently been going on about. The frustration with bureaucracy, and again, this will be, everybody will suffer this at any point of their life, no matter what they do. But I guess that bureaucracy is there for a reason as well, and it's Rob and everyone else's job is working on that to find a way through. I think Rob certainly believes it's going to have a big impact on people getting in and out of Adams Park and hopefully boosting the attendances. And we all know that a successful winning team is the best way to do that as well. But if you can couple that with a road too, then it'd be interesting to see what happens.
And something else which was really nice to kick off the new year was Richard Kone being presented as well.
Yeah, I think Sam Grace has done an exceptional job at Wycombe Wanderers. You've only got to look at the success of Anis Vermetti, and it's great to see Anis now getting some minutes and some goals and some game involvement with Bristol City, because he's still an asset for Wycombe Wanderers. Yes, we've put some money in the bank when we sold him, but he's also got a sell-on clause, I believe. So we want him to do well. We want him to then move up the food chain even higher, if possible. And he's only going to do that by playing. So it's great to see him. Ali Al-Hamadi, another player that Wycombe Wanderers developed or helped out in his development curve. We have a stake in him. And he's doing fantastically well for AFC Wimbledon. Chris Farino, we all know about. Jasper Patterton's broken through this season. There's been other players as well that have made appearances. There's more players there excited about that are coming through. And Richard Kone adds to that. And obviously his story of having to wait because of his situation with his paperwork. And, on pre-match drills tonight, which you can watch after listening to this show, there's a really lovely chat with Sam Grace, and the timeline of the Richard Kone transfer was a real opener for me, especially when I was chatting to Sam this morning.
It's really nice, isn't it, to kind of get that kind of behind-the-scenes view as well, because, fans just are excited for new incomings, and I guess as well keen to know about goings and some of the loan players too. We know of one who's going back. Yes, yeah, Kieran Brecken is on his way back to Man City, And yeah, I think, it was a lot of excitement around, especially, a lad from Man City coming down to League One. He's been a great lad to have around the place. I think he would have expected or hoped to have played more, and that hasn't happened for him. But, he's been a really good lad when we've spoken to him, and, he seems to have been a good soul around the training ground. And we wish him all the very best. the club seems to have had such success with loan players, and it's a real two-way thing. That obviously they get out of game time, and we get to benefit from having them as well.
Yeah, and it's not just what you see on the pitch as well. Look, these players are in the Premier League academies. It's a very different world to League One, even the established League One pros, and we have a dressing room that have had Premier League players in, Gareth McCleary, Sam Vokes, but it's a very different environment, and it's a very different economy. It's a lot of difference for them to get used to, and it's what they've been sent out to experience, a lot of that, and so they'll go back hopefully as better players, but hopefully sort of more rounded individuals, a bit more grown up, first time away from home, for example, being aware of the financial implications of a win bonus, a goal bonus that is sometimes on players that ply their trades in the lower league on a consistent basis.
And what can we expect from Burton this weekend?
It's going to be a tough game. You can clip that up and use it for every game this season, I know. But Burton, it's always tough there. They changed their manager in December and promoted their first team coach. He's had a bit of a bounce. He's won 2, drawn 1 and lost 2 in his 5 league games since he's took control, having been on a really bad run under Dino Mamria. Apart from losing 3-0 to Oxford, it's all been really tight games. 1-0, 0-0, 1-0 either way, and a 1-1 draw. So it's quite binary, and something that we say regularly again on Wanderers TV and Wycombe Sound. First goal is going to be hugely important because Burton are a team, if they can get themselves in the lead, can grind out a result and be really difficult to break down, especially at home. And their last 2 home games have been 1-0 wins. So Wycombe need to make sure that they need to be on their mettle and not concede. Burton don't score a lot of goals, so they need to be switched on and make sure they don't give them anything on Saturday, because if they do, it will be a very tough afternoon.
Do you think that was key on New Year's Day as well, the fact that Wycombe being the team that scored first?
Yeah, I think especially from the situation that we were in front of our home fans. A lot of fans had travelled on the Friday night and not seen a lot of goal attempts. That first half, not only did we score, but we had huge amounts of efforts on goal in that first half. And I think the only disappointment at half-time was the fact we were only 1-0 up. And it was great to see, even with 10 men, that we could get second and third. That was a real tonic. But yeah, it's about pushing the play and exciting the fans. And they did that on Monday. It's going to be tough to do that on Saturday because of how Burton set up and play. But that is what Wycombe Wanderers need to get around on Saturday, and they'll be working very hard to do so.
It'd be really great to think that that game on New Year's Day will be the start of a winning or unbeaten run.
Look, football's all about runs and momentum. Momentum was going against us at the end of last year. It's stopped now, which is big. And it wasn't just that win on Monday. I think you could probably factor in the Port Vale game was a really good performance. They weren't clinical enough. They got punished. It was a draw, a point away from home against Leyton Orient. We've spoken about. It was half, defensively a step in the right direction. And then Monday. So yeah, this has been over a body of games. Hopefully, Burton on Saturday can be added to that, and we can look at hopefully another 3 points.
So I think there was a real feel, wasn't there, that on Monday there was a real sort of a boost in performance and an improvement in attacking style of play as well.
Yeah, it was a really entertaining game to watch. 11v11, I thought Wycombe were bossing it. And then obviously losing Josh Gowan to a red card, which we've all seen back, and it's a red card. That's how it is. And we've now got no Josh for 3 league games. But then they weathered the storm that came after that, and then they found their footing a bit, changed the shape, and were able to exploit the gaps and get number 2 and number 3, which was brilliant. Brilliant to see, and the crowd really responded to that too, and you could almost feel the weight lifting off the shoulders.
And great to see Freddie Potts back, of course, as well.
Yeah, fantastic. I thought he did really well on Friday. First game since the start of November. Played the whole game, which I don't think they were planning on, but it was just the way it fell. And again on Monday, he played the majority of the game. But fantastic. He did some fantastic things in that first half. The assist for Luke's goal as well in the second half was excellent, and I think we've just been really seeing the player that we've missed. He's picked up where he's left off when he got injured at Bradford City.
It does feel like the tide is turning.
Hopefully.
Thank you very much for your time. Great chat to you.
Always a pleasure, Colin.
Phil Catchpole, everyone.
Well done, Phil.
Those applause are real as well. They weren't sound effects.
No.
Luke's with us for a brief notice board update.
I would like to... Something that you won't hear when we talk to the gaffer later on is I think we should also not mention Freddie Potts anymore.
No.
Because I feel like he was
Don't draw attention
so
to him.
good
Don't draw attention.
on Monday. It was...
Freddie who?
Exactly. Let's stop calling him Dan Potts. Don't get confused with his brother. But yeah, he was so good, and he's going to go places, but not yet, please. Thank you. No, the exciting news being confirmed in the last 2 hours that the new player that was announced on Monday is officially ours. Signed, sealed, and delivered. He's ours, to quote Wycombe Wanderers. Richard Kone is officially a chairboy. Hurrah!
Great news.
Great news.
Warm off the press.
And I've seen him play, and he's also excellent as well.
Oh, great news.
Yeah.
The top review.
They wouldn't put that on the... He's great.
More to come on the Wycombe Wanderers Show shortly.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Still to come on this week's edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show, we'll hear from the managers of both Wycombe Wanderers men and women. Although not in that order. We may have time for further notice board notifications as well from Luke.
Yes.
Thank you. That's excellent contribution. But first, if you're listening last week, we had a compilation of almost all of the fantastic members of the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association who we've spoken to since the start of Season 4 of this show. Season 4. Thank you. It was really great to hear some of the highlights of that. I'm very pleased to say that joining us is the Vice Chair of the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association, John D. Taylor, who, apart from anything you might not know, some behind-the-scenes news, is instrumental in setting up these interviews. And really great to chat to you. Happy New Year to you.
And Happy New Year to you, Colin, and to all your listeners.
It really does feel like the Ex-Players Association is going from strength to strength, not least on the the showing at this year's or last year's now Ex-Players dinner.
Yeah, we've been very lucky. We built up a great following in the early years, dipped a little bit, and then and of course members passed on. But we've gone well over the 100 mark now. This is what I always say. It's not just members. These are paid-up members. Now, getting footballers to actually pay for anything is often quite difficult. We actually have 100, I think it's 104, 105 paid-up members. They all paid their £20 a year subscription to be a member of Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association. Now, some clubs say, well, we've got 300 members. I had a conversation with a guy from Southend, actually only a few months ago. He said, yeah, we've got 300 members. Well, what do they do? Well, they don't actually do anything, but we do get a couple coming to a game. And I said, oh, okay. Well, we do a golf tournament, we do a quiz, we do an annual dinner. And there's a few other things that the boys do around the club on a regular basis as well. And he was astounded. Then I got a letter from the PFA saying, do Wycombe Wanderers have an ex-players association? So I wrote back an A4 two-sided sheet which explained everything that we did. And the PFA came back within hours saying, wow. So, we are in kind of a strong position. But, as always, we could be stronger.
So what would you say are some of the hopes for 2024?
Well, let's just go back slightly in that the kind of people that you met at the dinner in November, which was a look back to the 93 season, which got us into the Football League, three of them turned up almost unannounced, Steve Guppy, Matt Crossley and Keith Ryan, for the game with Port Vale on 2 days before Christmas. That caused a real stir. The fans gave them a marvellous welcome, not just on the pitch, but when they came round to the boxes, when they went into the Legends Lounge. Steve Guppy gave a lovely interview to Phil, and I just thought then how much he'd developed in the 10 years since we first had him on. I can remember, and he could remember as well, that we had a similar do at the annual dinner, and we wanted to interview him, and I introduced him, and they yelled out from the back, "He's gone out, he's feeling sick." And But poor Steve was so nervous about doing an interview, and I said to him, how can you be nervous about doing an interview with me just in front of a few Wycombe fans and your former colleagues? 10 years on, Steve Guppy was the consummate professional, and he told Phil some lovely stories about his time, not only at Wycombe, but since he's been in America, including one which I thought was really lovely, which is, Phil said, well, what's the setup there like? And he said, well, we've got Smudger Smith as the manager. He's my manager, and he does what all you Wycombe fans will remember, which is moan all the time. And he said, but we've also got somebody who's probably better looking than your chairman, and certainly your owner. And Phil said, well, who's that? And he said, oh, Reese Witherspoon. I don't think even Rob Cooey could argue with that. But we then got on to the question of fireworks, and a lot of people have kind of criticised this. It's an American thing, you know, do we want fireworks? What happens if they lose? Well, of course, we know they didn't lose in that fantastic game this week. But not only that, the fireworks were magnificent, and in fact, the Wycombe fans actually stayed back and enjoyed them. I must admit there weren't too many of the opposition still left in the ground at that stage. They'd had enough fireworks on the field, I think. But yeah, we enjoy welcoming back these players, and as I say, Steve, Matt Crossley, and Rhino were fantastic. And then this week, Keith Scott stepped into the breach, came to the Legends Lounge. Again, another big name from Wycombe's past. And Keith and I have had our little words over the past few years, but he's rejoined the Ex-Players Association, has promised that he'll give us all his support, and that to me is absolutely fantastic. Not only was Keith Scott there on Saturday, we had a gentleman called Len Worley. Now, Len has been a bit down in the dumps recently. I think it's an age thing. He's been a bit unwell and all of that. And we persuaded him to come on Saturday for the last game. And that was Monday, not Saturday, getting mixed up here. And anyway, I met him in the visitors' boardroom and had a chat with him and took him out. And he saw his picture in the little corridor on the way to the director's room, and he didn't realise that this showed all the Wycombe internationals of the past. And we were just looking at that, and the door opened, and in came Missy. And I said to Missy Cooey, oh, this is Len Worley. She said, oh, I've heard of you. I showed her the picture. Of course, she was very complimentary. Len, you've never changed a bit, and all the rest of it. Dear Len was delighted. 2 seconds later, the door opens again, and in comes Rob. And I said to him, let me just introduce you, Rob, to somebody here who you may not have heard of. His name's Len Worley. Len Worley? Even I've heard of Len Worley. Len, you've got your picture up on the wall. I hope that impression was better than that one Alan Hutchinson did a few weeks ago. And honestly, the delight on Len's face. And then, of course, we went round to the boxes, and it took us half an hour to get from the reception up to the boxes, because every 3 paces somebody came up and said, did you used to be Len Worley? I said, no, it wasn't me, it was him. And,
what a great double act.
Yeah, great double act, yeah. But honestly, it was fantastic. The number of people that recognised Len and wanted to come up, shake his hand, have a picture taken with him, say how much they enjoyed. And remember, Len Worley first played for Wycombe in 1955. I mean, that is just incredible, I think. he went up to the boxes, and then again, people there just wanted to say hello to him, and I think that, to me, is what the Ex-Players Association is about: reintroducing old stars, ex-stars, former players to the fans. It gets that contact going, and I think is wonderful for the club. It's certainly wonderful for the supporters, and it's certainly a great morale boost for some of the old players who think nobody remembers them.
Absolutely. I think a lot of fans as well perhaps might not realise, what great work the Ex-Players Association does around the ground as well, with displays and also helping out with tours as well. Yeah,
I've got to praise Vince Faulkner and Keith Samuels especially, and John Bignell, because they organise and do the tours around the stadium, which happen on a Wednesday and a Saturday morning. They're here at 10:30 on a Saturday morning, taking people around who paid for a tour. They can go into the dressing room, they go into the boardroom, they go into the referee's room, just so they can leave a message. They go into the security area, and that's really interesting. They suddenly realise that, crikey, you're on candid camera. Everybody can be seen from one little room in Adams Park, and the people have thoroughly enjoyed that. And our guys, they love going round and showing, and then often people say, "So did you actually play here?" No, we actually played at the previous ground. Oh, what was that like? Oh, well, it got 11-foot slope, but you used to get 12,000 people there, and they can't believe it. And we say, it's the anniversary today of Wycombe playing Middlesbrough, 1975, 49 years ago, 12,000 people at Lokes Park to watch them draw 0-0 with Middlesbrough. People, supporters today, don't realise that, as I say, that they had crowds like that. And in many ways, it's so sad that what do we have? 5,000 there on Monday, 12,000 there 49 years ago to watch amateurs play. Well, so-called amateurs anyway. The boys do a great job there. They're going to be involved if the Winter Warmers Hub resumes, which is fantastic. We've now got a close association with the Wycombe Foundation, which was much needed, because I felt up until a year or so ago, they were like an outside group in the club. Now they're very focused, and of course Mark is very much responsible for that, Mark Gateskill, and we work very closely with him. So that's great. The other thing that we're going to do, I was sent a parcel just before Christmas, pre-Santa, and in it was a shirt belonging to Cliff Trott, which he wore in the 1957 Amateur Cup final. And with it was his runners-up medal. And that's been donated to the club via the Ex-Players Association. So we're going to make room for that in Montes. That's going to be next to a medal that was won, a winner's medal, that one, from 1931. And those kind of things just remind people, I think, of, Wycombe is not just about Matt Bloomfield. It's not about Gareth Ainsworth, not just about. It's not about Brian Lee. It goes back even further than that. And the number of players that have passed through the club is fantastic. We want to support the players now that are playing. And I'll just give you another example. As you mentioned, Freddie Potts. I'm not allowed to mention him now because we don't want to give him too much publicity. But Freddie did the interview as man of the match after the game, and as he walked past, I introduced myself and explained that I was so old I'd even seen his father play. And he said, "What about my grandfather? My grandfather played for Arsenal Youths, you know." But he, I said to him, "Well, it's lovely meeting you, but I don't want to meet you again." And he said, "Oh, why is that?" And I said, "Well, I don't want you to become a member of the Ex-Players Association." And that's often the way I do greet what I would describe as star players. And, you mentioned Anis Mehmeti earlier on. We want him now to come back as an ex-player when he's done the rounds of some of the senior clubs. But we don't want him back, not until Wycombe have got a few more bob for him.
No, absolutely. So how can we find out more about the ex-players and the great work that you do?
Well, we've got the Facebook page, which is our main point of contact, and the club website. And we also send out about 350, 400 newsletters on a regular basis, basically to people who have been associated with us, either coming to some of our events. I get their details and we send them off, and they've got a regular resume, if you like, of what's going on. And that's how we had, and you had, Jeff Cooper on a few weeks ago from New Zealand, because I kept sending the newsletter to him by email, and he responded to that. And I thought, well, that's another person we can purloin to join us, and to add to the 125 members that we've interviewed, on your show since we got this cooperation going. So, that's I think, an ever-growing story.
And a really good one as well, and so positive. And as you say, supporters are really keen to hear what former players are doing these days, and to reminisce as well about the great times that they saw. Thank you so much, Annie, for your time. Great to chat to you.
Nice to talk to you. Happy New Year.
Likewise, that's John D. Taylor, who is the Vice Chair of Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association, speaking to us here at Wycombe Sound.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Welcome if you've just tuned in. You've missed quite a lot if you have. But there'll be a podcast version available. You might be listening to that now. Possibly tomorrow?
Probably tomorrow morning by about 11ish, I would say.
Right.
Thank you to JDT for going along with the not mentioned Freddie Potts thing.
Yeah, that really
I'm going to get him a disguise so no one can realise it's him.
JDT?
No, Freddie. If JDT wants a disguise, I'll get him one as well.
Have you got access to disguises?
I can find some. I'll make some.
False nose and some glasses.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Still to come on the Wycombe Wanderers Show, we've got some breaking news.
Breaking news.
I know.
Yep.
And also, we'll hear from manager Matt Bloomfield as well. As mentioned, though, it is the first Wycombe Wanderers Show of 2024. And if you've been listening over the past few weeks, you'll know that Wycombe Wanderers Women have been on a mid-season break. Their manager, Carl Simon's been away as well, but I'm very pleased to say he's back. And we can wish him a very happy New Year as well.
Well, first off, happy New Year to you as well, Colin. Hope you enjoyed your break. And we've really enjoyed it. Everyone's back fit, had a chance to recharge their batteries, so we're looking forward to the second half of the season.
Has it been really pleasing overall for you as to how the teams come together, and it really feels like you've built something with a great blend of experience and youth in the team?
Yeah, I mean, that was always our objective, and I should say that our under-18s are doing really well, so was the under-23. So we've got a good pathway that we've created. It's something that we tried to instill from last season, really, and we're built on that going forward. So the senior team, the first team now, is in really good shape, and like I said, we've got a lot of good players, a lot of good talent coming through as well.
That's something that really stands out as well, speaking to the players, is that they feel, they can progress really well. And, we've spoken to players who are, sort of 17 and getting a chance in the first team. And also, they're made to feel so welcome and fit in so easily.
I've always believed in promoting youth, and my philosophy has always been an open door policy. And the opportunity is there for all young players to progress into the first team. And we've had a few from the under-18s and from the under-23s that have featured. Quite a few have featured this season, and if you look at the first team we have at the moment, and you look at people like Maka, Emily McCarthy, and you look at people like Little Molly Carter, they've progressed, and you've got Charlotte Hill as well. will progress into the first team, and they're 18, 17 years of age. So it's there for all people, all players who want that opportunity. It's there for them, and as you say, with senior players, a lot of them are some of them police officers, the paramedics, the teachers, and so on and so forth, prison officers as well. And sometimes they're not available. So that opportunity is always there for younger players. As long as they're fit and available, the chance will arise where they'll get a place in the squad.
And it's not just the football side either. It really comes across that the older players are really there to look out for the youngsters or offer advice or really help in any other situations, footballing or otherwise.
Yeah, we've got an amazing senior leadership group headed by Bobby Lynch, who I've spoken to quite a few times. And, they do look after the players, and that's what we want. It's a one-club mentality. Everyone is welcome, everyone is looked after. So, yeah, that's really pleasing as well that we have that. But, it took some work to create that environment, and we do everything we can to protect it.
And I think as well, without exception, all the players that we've been fortunate enough to speak to on this show, they all speak so well. They all seem so, sort of focused and driven and have different goals, individually and collectively, and really obviously want the team as a whole to do well as well. Yeah,
the club message is very clear. We know what our objectives are. The players know what their objectives are, and it's the same with how we train. And we don't overload the players with information. We give them very clear instructions on what we want them to do, and I think that helps them be able to go out and to perform and obviously speak to yourself and know what's required of them.
And do you find as well, you mentioned the availability of the players, it's frustrating in a way because, you can't always put out your strongest team, or in a way do you find that a challenge because, you can introduce, as you touched on, some of the younger members of the group?
It is frustrating, obviously. We're not fully professional, and that's just the way it is. But, for me personally, when a player's not available, I get a little bit of excitement because I get the opportunity to give, a playing position to one of the under-23s or even one of the under-18s. And, I signed off on all the players that come into the club and, they want that opportunity. So when you're able to give them that opportunity, it's very pleasing. It can be hard, if everyone was available all the time to give them that chance. But, naturally these opportunities occur. And when it happens, yeah, I'm a little disappointed, of course, because you want to have your starting players out there, as it were. But at the same time, there is some excitement that you get to see some of the exciting players that we have in under-23s and under-18s and give them that opportunity. That's really pleasing as well. So, we welcome that.
And great for you and the rest of your coaching team as well to really sort of notice the development of players. I know there are many players that you've got in who you've kind of worked with before, and I guess what they can do. But it must be great to see some of the others coming up as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of the players that came from Watford Ladies from previous, and I've known some of them since they were 14 years of age. So it's really good to see them developing and coming through. And again, with the under-18s, we've got a lot of really interesting players there. And like I always say to the players, the future's for them. The objective for the club is to move the women's section up the pyramid as far as we can go. And, the fight for equality and the equity that we need is also there. That's a fight for all people involved in women's football. And we know that we have to do well to, get more sign-off from the club. And I understand that, the club needs to know that we're doing the right things as well. We always try and do our best on behalf of the club. We know we represent Wycombe Wanderers. So, that's kind of our main objective, really.
And I know we've spoken to you before about the influence of the Lionesses and how well they've done and the popularity generally of women's football, but it's been fascinating as well to speak to different age ranges at the club as well, to see kind of the internal sort of role models that players look up to in the club, but also obviously externally in terms of young fans who really look up to any of the players and whatever age group and what they're doing as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. We've got players from 36 going right down to 16 years of age, and it's very interesting to see with the younger players. The landscape has changed, and for the younger players, as opposed to a lot of the older players when they first started, they can see a professional women's game evolving, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And they're mindful, and they know that eventually it's going to be for them. When I've gone, when the senior players have gone, it'll be the younger players that we have that will reap the rewards, and we all want to do our little part to put the women's section of the club on that footing for the benefit of others who follow after us.
So what have you made of some of the teams that you've come up against this season and still in the remainder of the campaign as well, compared to your own side?
We've done quite well. Got a really good start to the season, actually, compared to last season, which was quite difficult for us. And, we're sitting nicely in the table. The teams we played against, we've lost 2 away games in the league only. And that was against Ascot and Bournemouth, 2 very strong sides. But we feel confident. We've beaten them both before in the past. And the rest of the teams in the league, it's quite a challenging league. Everyone can beat everybody. So no one knows how this league is going to end up. There is no real whipping boys in this team, or whipping girls, we say, in this league. So it's an interesting league, and it's one that we feel confident that we can compete in this season and do well.
And are there particular things that you work on at this stage of the season compared to, say, earlier on?
Well, at the start of the season, obviously we had a lot of new players come in, new coaches. So I think in that first phase of the season, it was a lot of getting to know you sort of thing, and letting the players understand, how we play, what we expect from them. And I think we've done a lot of good work throughout all the teams in the club and all the coaches to get to that stage now. And we're in a really good place where we can really push on. We know what we need to do. We know what areas we need to get better at. And we're just focusing on those things now, which is quite nice, having laid the foundations.
And you've got Oxford City next, an away game, and obviously a team who are higher up in the table. But it should be a great test, shouldn't it?
Yeah, away to Oxford City. Remember their game away to them last season. We were having a really, really tough time, and we got a really good win down there, which we needed. And we're looking forward to that game. And thankfully, with all this rain, it's on a 3G pitch, so the game wouldn't get called off. Hence why we had all these games in hand. But looking forward to going down to Oxford City. Really good venue, really good club. Always have good games against them. So we're looking forward to that.
And I guess it's nice, isn't it? Because you've got those teams sort of in your sights, if you like, in the part of the table that you're targeting. Yeah. Everything's in front of us. As I said to the players, it's all there for us really. We can do whatever we like. So we go out and we play well and we take it one game at a time, as the old mantra says. But I think we're in a really good position to achieve whatever we want to achieve in the league this season. We had a really good League Cup win most recently. So, it's a really exciting next few months for sure. And is it really pleasing for yourself? Because I know, obviously you had the sort of season of transition last season, but it feels like, this is your team now and this is kind of what you've built and you're really taking it forward now.
Yeah, absolutely. We went through that phase and it was really difficult last season. I won't hold back on that. We came in and we brought a lot of players in, and we had to do another overhaul within 2 or 3 months and really use a lot of under-18 players to try and get us over the line sort of thing. But now we're a lot more settled. The players know what we expect from them. The club is moving in the right direction. It's moving at the right pace for what we want to do. If we can get what we want earlier, we'll take it. But we're on the right path.
Well, wish you every success for the remainder of the season. Brilliant to speak to you, and thank you so much, Steve, for your time.
Thanks always, Colin. Cheers, mate.
Great chatting to Carl Simon. I wish him and the Chair Girls all the best, and we'll be hearing from more of them as the season progresses. It's a great point he makes, isn't it? That some of them are paramedics, some are police women, some are teachers, some are other things.
I think it's sort of like it's a lot what we hear from the ex-players when before they went professional. How it was all like they were all doing different jobs at the same time. But as you said, good luck to the Chair Girls for the rest of their season, mate, as everyone seems to be calling you this evening.
Many of them have dogs as well. I've learnt.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very popular.
Maybe they should have like a day when they bring all the dogs to Adams Park and they can you would hate it.
I'd have to set that one out.
It'd be quite good because a lot of the players have dogs as well.
Yeah, apparently so.
Players like Max Striek has Major.
Major dog.
He's got a major dog. We're here all night.
Literally.
Yeah.
Well, I hope not. Now, let's move on to the men's manager, Matt Bloomfield, who, of course, is also one that we should wish a Happy New Year to.
Happy New Year to you and everybody listening, mate. We're really pleased with, obviously, the way the new year started. I thought that the performance was fantastic. I thought it was as good as I've seen in the time since I've been back. I thought the energy and the intensity the boys played at was very, very good, and was really pleased with the performance and the result followed. Obviously, with the signing of Richie Kone as well, a boy we've been trying to get in the building for a number of months now. Finally, to get that over the line, we're obviously really pleased with that as well.
Is that something that you felt has been coming for a while? You sort of seen that build into that point. Obviously, not just the signing because you probably knew that was coming, but the result on the performance as well.
Yeah, I have absolutely. I think we've been that dominant in enough games to have a win. I'm obviously slightly disappointed and frustrated that it was clouded slightly by the couple of late goals. But the way we played, the way we pressed, the energy and the performance, the atmosphere inside the ground was one of the most pleasing things for me. I felt like the lights were on, the terrace was in full voice, the ground felt electric. I loved feeding off that emotion from the fans, and I think the players did too. So, it was a real good feeling for me. I think it's been coming. I really do. If you look back at a couple of recent home games, Shrewsbury had 1 shot on target. Port Vale had 2 shots on target. We didn't win other games. So it's nice for the results to go in our favour that we believe we've deserved.
And does it feel like you've really got positives, as you say, that you've taken from this recent run of games and that you can really take into the new year as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think that, the Port Vale game, for instance, I thought we were very, very good. We didn't make enough of our chances, and then we were really, really sloppy to give a goal away. Didn't defend the back post properly at all, and come away with a draw. The Shrewsbury game, the midfielder is a great strike, hits off his wrong foot from 20 yards out, and we missed, enough chances. It just feels like it's been coming. I'm so pleased for the players because I know that how much they care. I know how much they're putting into this season, and I've really felt for them recently because they haven't been getting the points and the results that their performances suggest they should be getting. So for them and our supporters who have been, following us up and down the country and spending all their money to support the boys, it was obviously a pleasing day.
And it felt extra special in a way for both yourself and the team because, I guess, fans can be very critical, but they don't actually get to see, what goes on kind of behind the scenes and the work that goes into putting those performances onto the pitch. They just see, on a match day itself. Yeah,
I think for me, Monday was probably particularly fulfilling because we had a tough night at Orient on Friday night. I had to make a couple of decisions with the team to protect players in readiness for Monday because they couldn't do all 4 games. Vokesy being the main one. After the game Friday night, I drove back to the training ground to watch the game back and start watching Bristol Rovers. Slept here, got up, cracked on with work Saturday with the players back in the building. We worked hard all weekend. So to have that backed up with a result is fulfilling because I believe in hard work. I believe in being the best you can possibly be. I understand that criticism is going to come our way when results aren't as they can be, but I felt like that was possibly over the top on Friday because a point away from home in a clean sheet I thought was a good result, especially when, in such a busy run of games with players coming back from injury and having to protect a couple. I actually felt like it was a good result. We should have beaten Port Vale. We should have seen that game out for 3 points. We hit the post and missed a penalty. Although we were very average at Exeter, that could have been a point. We could have got 8 from our 4 games and we could have had an incredible Christmas. So to leave it to the last one of the run of 4 and to be able to come out with the result that we believed was coming, for me was very fulfilling. It's just given me more desire and hunger. I want more days like that. I want more wins. I want more goals at home. I want more days to enjoy because there's been a lot to endure recently and I want more to enjoy.
Because do you think it's the fact that perhaps, fans' expectations are just perhaps a bit too high and perhaps it's, obviously you can't win every game and it's not possible to get the result that you want from each match and, football's not really like that?
No, I'd never say that the fans' expectations are too high. My expectations of myself and my team are extremely high. I think that a lot has been made recently of the results and obviously, we are disappointed that it took so long to get that next win. But if you look at each game in isolation, I think there's probably more better performances than negative. We know we haven't scored enough goals. We know, I think that's a given. And we've been working hard on those, but we've got a fully fit Sam Vokes, who against Port Vale I thought was fantastic. And on Monday I thought he was incredible. We've missed him for too much of the season for my liking because I think we're a very good team when we've got Vokesy in it. So I hope we can keep him fit. I hope he can play like he did on Monday because I thought he was top drawer, and if we can keep Vokesy fit and firing, then we know that we're going to be a threat for any team, especially at home, like I say, with the atmosphere like it was on Monday.
And going into this game against Burton, the news today that you'll be getting a touchline ban, especially for one card, a yellow card in particular, that obviously that you refute.
I go beyond refute. If I'm honest, I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say, but I go beyond refute. 2 of them out of the 3, if I'm honest, one was justified on the opening day of the season for my frustrations and not getting a penalty. The other 2 were extremely disappointing, to say the least. So, yeah, obviously I need to learn from that. I'm not allowed to clap my hands together and put my hands together because it can be perceived in a way that is bizarre. So, look, really disappointing because unfortunately what it means is that I'm taken away from the one area I love the most, the technical care on a Saturday afternoon. So, I spoke to the PGMOL. They told me to ring the FA. I speak to the FA. They tell me to ring the PGMOL. Doesn't look like there's a huge amount of support for me to actually talk to anybody and try and figure out what it is. The second booking was against Shrewsbury when there was, I believe, 6 different substitution breaks. We were told they were going to be actual time this season. We then had 4 added minutes, which, to be fair to Shrewsbury, a 1-0 winning away from home, I'd also take my time and all the rest of it like they did. Early in the season, we were seeing 8, 9, 10, 12 minutes for that. We had 4, and I sort of said 4. When I asked the full official, he said 4, and I said 4, and he booked me for that. So I'm not allowed to say a number loudly, and I'm not allowed to clap my hands together. Very disappointing.
It seems strange, doesn't it? Because I guess obviously with any sort of new rules, and there's been a number, this season, there's a sort of bedding in period, as you touched on with the added on time, but you'd think there'd be some sort of leniency in that regard as well.
Yeah, they've taken the toleration lower and they've taken the discipline also lower. So there's less tolerance on the sideline, and they've brought the bookings for managers to get a ban from 4 to 3. I've just figured out this week. I didn't even know what it was before, and I've just found out. And that's some of the conduct I see. We played a game recently where a manager held onto a ball to stop the ball coming back into play. I've been told that should have been a sending off offence. It wasn't. They had a laugh and a joke with the referee and allowed the play to go on. I didn't see Josh's incident on Saturday. It was on the blind side of me when, I just saw him hit the ball first. So I kind of put my hands together in astonishment when the red card came out, because I just hadn't seen the incident properly because it was on the blind side, and I get booked for it. It's bizarre, mate. And the disappointing thing is I love my job. I love being out there on a Saturday with the boys. The referee agrees that it might have been the wrong thing to do. The people at the FA agree with me that it was wrong off the video footage. The PGMO agree that it's the wrong thing to do. Everyone agrees that it's wrong, but no one's willing to help.
And just going into this Burton game, has there been a real lift among the squad? After that Bristol Rovers game and that win, is that really does it feel like a real kind of springboard going into the new year?
Yeah, I think the boys have been in great spirit this morning. They've trained extremely well. As I said to you before, mate, I think that it's just strengthened my resolve, my hunger and desire to bring good results, because it's a lot more enjoyable when you do that. So the boys are in good spirits, mate. We're ready for another tough game at Burton on Saturday afternoon. We have to replicate the energy and intensity that we had on Monday. We have to replicate the quality of our play. We have to replicate so much of that in a totally different game, in different surroundings, on a different pitch against different opposition. So we have to be ready for the battle that's to come. We have to be ready for the challenges that are in front of us on Saturday afternoon, and we have to try and replicate that level of performance. If we do that, then we have a chance of having another good day.
And just finally, I'm sure you get asked a lot more about transfers in this month, but what will be your message to supporters going into this kind of run of games that we've got coming up?
Yeah, the message is to stick with the players. They're giving you everything they possibly can. They're a real honest group. We've got some incredible people in that change room, and the lads are giving everything they've got. There's going to be incomings and outgoings in January. I'm fairly sure of that. I don't know exactly how much number. We've been working hard behind the scenes, and conversations have been going on. So yeah, there might be a couple in, a couple out. I'm not too sure on the exact number of what will happen, but there might be a slight freshening. But we hope to come out the window at the end of January in a better shape than what we went into it. And if you do that with every transfer window, then hopefully you can keep moving forward.
An exciting time for the club, of course, with the January transfer window open. We'll keep you up to date with any ins and outs. Speaking of which,
we have some Brechin news. We can confirm. I say we can confirm. The club have confirmed that.
And we can confirm.
We can confirm that the club have also confirmed. It's very confusing. That Cian Brechin has returned to Manchester City at the end of his loan spell with the Chairboys at the club, and we wish him good luck.
Yeah, absolutely.
One out, one back in. Damani Mellor is back from his loan spell from Sutton.
Good to see him back.
Which when
you saw him today, didn't you?
Yeah, I was like, we went in to have lunch. I was like, Damani's here, and then saw the tweet. I was like, that's why. And so this is sort of like I don't know how you describe this, but if you ever are looking for someone to decorate your Christmas tree, don't ask Jack Grimmer. If you've seen the video of the Christmas tree going up at the training ground, it looked lovely. It was very nice. Tom Holder, club secretary, also helped. However, me and Phil dismantled it this afternoon. What an absolute mess.
Oh. We
had to sort of take the tree apart to take the lights out. It was very, very confusing.
Controversial.
Yeah, so maybe just ask Rona Grimmer to do it instead of Jack.
He'll be doing the summarising, or probably playing as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
He'll just be
commentating on the tree going up or something.
It's our first tree news on the show as well.
It is, yeah. Good evening to the Grimmers.
Which that sounds like a new
It does sound like a
film.
podcast, doesn't it? Evening with the Grimmers. It's
Yeah.
nice, I like it.
Or a film, perhaps.
Yeah, possibly, that would work.
Just a reminder, if you're not going to Burton, you can hear the whole match live from 3 here on Wycombe Sound and on Wanderers TV. Build-up starts at 2.
It does, and if you're not going to Tuesday's game against West Ham in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, build-up is from 6 with Ringing the Blues and live commentary from 7 o'clock.
Early kick-off, don't forget.
It is, it's very confusing.
And Freddie Potts won't be playing.
No, don't mention Freddie.
No, of course, it's supposed to mention
His
him.
brother and dad will be there, though. So.
Other members of the Potts family
Yeah,
are
exactly.
available. Thank you very much for listening. Have a great rest of your week, and hopefully we can get back-to-back victories starting on Saturday at Burton Albion. More next week. Thank you very much.
Come on, you Blues! Mate.